G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Shannah Kennedy, who's the founder of Shannah Kennedy Coaching. And Shannah's based in Melbourne, Australia. So thanks for your time, Shannah.
Thanks for having me, Mick. It's great to be here and chatting with you.
Yes, looking forward to it. And today we're going to have a chat about personal values, vision, goals, habits and boundaries for small business owners particularly. And I guess the importance he'll talk about in operating a business with control by utilising those aspects and obviously what you'll talk about today. So I think our audience will get an enormous amount of benefit out of our conversation. So this is our first time I met, and I reached out on LinkedIn after seeing a couple of your posts, which sort of piqued my curiosity, and you were lovely enough to accept the offer to chat, and here we are today, and we're going to do another one about your business later this week. So we'll have a couple of chats which I'm excited about. So to kick off, just tell our audience a bit about yourself and your experience.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Mick. I've had my business for about 23 years now, so it is a small business. It's me. It's a very, very successful business, and along the way, I've had coaches. So I'm a coach to, executives, CEOs, leaders, and a lot of small business owners, because everybody needs a plan. And when the brain doesn't have a plan, and it doesn't have a vision, and it doesn't know the values, and it doesn't have boundaries, and hasn't had a habit plan created to support goals, and most of all, someone to celebrate with, we just find that people either burn out or really don't reach the potential of their business or get to the goal that they want. So it's really important to view all of us as athletes. We were talking about athletes just before, and my whole career started because I wanted to coach athletes into retirement, because I worked in corporate sport and saw that everyone had a sport plan, but they didn't have a life plan. And then realized people might have a business plan, but they don't have a life plan. And we really need the two running side by side, because we need to build a business that fits our life, not the other way around.
Absolutely. So important. And I guess that life plan you talk about, can you just unpack essentially what that looks like when you're working with small business owners?
Absolutely. So you think of the life plan as like the big umbrella, like the whole car, the whole thing, which, involves our relationships, our wealth creation, our health, our well-being, our mental health. We talk about hobbies, we talk about relationships. It's about the whole lot, and making sure that we're not burning any of those other factors just to build a bigger business. Because no one wants to have a great business with no friends and no family, and nobody likes them, and, they've got no hobbies, and they don't know who they are without their job. And for a lot of athletes, the first question is who are you without your job? And that's the first thing I would ask a small business owner, is making sure that you know who the person is, because you are not your job. That's what you do. So the life plan is about making sure you feel very grounded. You're very connected to self. You know what's important to you. You know where you're going. You know how you want to get there. You know how you want to show up. And you've really done a bit of a plan around that. It's not just in your head one day and gone the next as life gets messy, as we know. So having a life plan is really having a great 10 to 20-year strategy that we dip into all of the time. I've got my 20-year plan right here next to me. It's always here. And constantly seeing the bigger picture rather than getting too stuck in the day-to-day weeds.
Yeah, excellent. And so you mentioned you've got your 10-year life plan. So I guess, does that, in times where things get a bit wobbly, that's sort of your reference point, which gives you the focus?
Well, it's about perspective, right? So, we get so bogged down into one thing not working well. When we keep a big perspective, we can make better decisions. We have a bigger picture that we're trying to achieve, and there's going to be detours, there's going to be curveballs in life, but we also need to see, well, it's a much bigger picture here that we're playing for. So we don't get so rattled on all of the small little hiccups along the way. So having that plan, having that life plan, I sort of liken it to a Roger Federer, calm, confident and grounded. Or you could be like a Nick Kyrgios, which is, no disrespect to Nick, but flighty and maybe doesn't have the right plan in place, not sure how he wants to show up properly and all of those kind of things.
Yeah. Now, some small businesses, owners, would probably say, well, 10 years, a lot can change. I don't necessarily want to sort of put together a structure around 10 years from a personal life. How would you respond to that sort of, response when you're talking to a small business owner?
Well, I would say, where are you going then? How are you going to evolve and grow and flourish if you don't have a plan? Matthew McConaughey had a great speech when he won the Dallas Buyers Club and he won an Oscar, and his speech was his role model is his 10-year-older self. We always need someone to strive to be and to evolve to. And the reason that I get up now and go to walk in the dark in the mornings is I'm serving my 10-year-older self, or the reason that I'm lifting weights is for my 10-year-older self, because I tell you, I do not feel like doing that today. Reason that we, send that email newsletter once a week is not for today, it's for the big plan. So yes, things might change, but the brain is really happy when it has a map. So if you're in Tassie and I say we're going to go to Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Darwin, Perth, and finish in the Maldives, your brain just had a map and it went, oh, okay, I know where I'm going. Now, we might not stick to the plan, but it feels very comfortable. It's not worried about not having any direction. When we don't have the plan, it's like you're just stuck going around the roundabout in Tasmania, and your brain is just not looking for opportunity. It won't even notice opportunity when it's right there. So it is imperative that people know their values and have a vision for themselves, because that's when the opportunities come.
Absolutely. And as a business coach, I couldn't agree with you more in the context, more so with a business, but the same principles apply, right? So, as you say, if in business or in life, if you don't have a plan, I mean, you get up in the morning, you just can go around circles, lose money, time and energy. Seen that a lot. And 10 years goes pretty quick, right?
Yeah, and people say to me all the time, oh, you're so lucky. And I'm like, there's no luck involved. I've saved for that trip. I booked the flights a year out. I researched the accommodation, all of the incredible life experiences that I've had and sabbaticals with my husband and children. They come from doing a 10-year plan. None of it comes to the front door on a silver tray, and says, here's these great, amazing experiences for your life. And the same thing with the business. We've got to have a little bit of a great inspirational plan to give us motivation to show up every day, especially in a small business. And in a small business, we can become quite insular. We can get very stuck in our own head. A lot of businesses don't even celebrate the small wins, so they lose a lot of momentum and a lot of inspiration. We see on the football field, if someone kicks a point, they still get a high five from their teammate, not even if they kick a goal. To show up week after week and put your body on the line, you must have a culture of celebration. So when you're in a small business, what I find is a huge missing link is that small art of celebrating all the small wins to get to the big win.
That's a very good point. And I think small business owners that they achieve something, it's move on. They don't actually take time to celebrate and to, appreciate what they've done and their team, moreover, within the business. And like you say, it's not only important for them, but the team that they work with within the business. So it's a really good point that I think a lot of businesses, and I've been there, done that, sort of overlook that because you just want to move on to the next thing.
Mm. And, when you want to have longevity in career, so, I've had my business for 23 years and I'm still excited. I still have a plan moving forward. I still feel like I'm just beginning. I'm still, really passionate about my job. And that comes down to really understanding the values, the vision, the habits that'll serve me for the year, and celebrating every small win along the way has led me to write my 8 books and produce these amazing vision board kits that are in Big W at the moment, and sold 100,000 last Christmas. That all comes because I'm still motivated. And the motivation only comes if we're high-fiving and we're celebrating. And unfortunately, my business is solo, so I actually have to take myself out. I'm going to high-five myself, or, I share that with my coach. I make sure I get a coach every couple of years to make sure I'm sharing and make sure I'm growing and continuing on that pathway, because I really love what I do. And I think a lot of small businesses burn out that they haven't celebrated, they haven't got coaches in, they haven't invested in their growth and understanding. They might have just for the product of the business, but not as an overall human.
Are you struggling to find time to work on your business? Or is your health and relationships out of balance? Lost confidence? Or are your weeks filled with fear? Our free 10-day Transform Your Performance online course shows you how to unlock at least 5 hours a week. We start with the secret to guaranteed success, and with over 100 lessons and free tools, you will become more focused, productive, and feel more in control of your business, health, and relationships. GrowSmallBusiness.com.
Yeah, and I think even, investing in coaches and mentors in the business, which is see what Grow a Small Business does, that's often overlooked as well. And I'm a big believer, getting a good team around you, both within the business and externally, people like yourself, ourselves, whoever it is, it's got to be a team effort. And like you say, celebrate along the way. It's that the 10-year vision board of yours. Just unpack that a little bit, because that's I'm curious about that, and especially the amount you sold last Christmas. But in the business context, how could that work for a business owner?
Okay, so when we think of an athlete, they always have everything on the wall. Sorry, so they have visual representation to keep the motivation going. So Olympians thought they'll have the Olympic rings up there, or they'll have the cup, or inspirational pictures to make them train harder. They will have the words on the wall that really fire them up or motivate them. And us as human beings, we actually need the same thing, and small business needs the same thing. So having a vision board up where we've got the quotes that we love, we've got pictures that really inspire us, our values are smack bang in the middle, staring at us every day as our guiding light. That is putting everything in the mind onto the wall so that we see it, so we stay on track and stay motivated. And I developed them in lockdown because a lot of people just needed new visuals. They needed new words on the wall because everybody was so isolated. So, especially here in Victoria. So, vision boards, because I have worked very closely with a lot of elite athletes and Olympians and football players, visual is really important, and it's great to bring it to the public and say, this really works. And small business, I've always had screensavers and the mirror in the bathroom's full of words to train my brain to keep it on track and to keep it motivated. So every day in the bathroom, I'm seeing, 25 different words jumping out at me, and I need different ones every day. So we train the brain. So as I said in the beginning, we're all athletes. We're all athletes of life. We're all athletes of business, and we can learn so much from high performance and bring it into our life to help us, to allow us to feel grounded, to guide us, to keep us motivated. And the results are just enormous when we do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I can appreciate that. I can know how powerful it is for the small businesses doing their own business plan. So I can only imagine, in a personal sense, the same impact. And I guess from a business perspective, and the 10-year life plan, the vision board, where does sort of health and well-being fit into that when you're working with small business owners?
It's actually first and foremost, because we always start with the asset, which is the person. So we need to protect the asset of the business, which are the people of the business, because it's so hard to get the right people. It's hard to train the right people. Once we've got them trained up, we want to keep them. We need staff retention. So we need to look at the assets, which are the people, and making sure that they pace themselves. You know, we're all up running a marathon every single day from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. And we need to learn how to pace ourselves with health and wellbeing practices that allow us to be human, but high-performing humans who don't burn out and need time off and, you know, have a breakdown or create some autoimmune disease for ourselves. So really thinking about how can you be a high performer for the long term if you're running a business needs to have a structure and a habit plan, and definitely a 10-year plan. It is about the exercise that I was doing 20 years ago is very different to now. You know, I was 30 doing half marathons and 50K challenges. I wouldn't run around the block now if my fitness did, you know, so it's different. It's yoga, it's Pilates, it's weights, it's walking. And part of my business is how do I bring in some of my passions into the business? So I take women walking around the world. So we walk on the Camino Trail, and I'm taking a group in Italy to Tuscany. So they're 30-kilometer walks every day for 8 days. So I'm like, yeah, that suits a 50-year-old. That's doable. That's not harming the body in any way. So the plan should be changing with whatever age and stage and season that you're in life. And I find a lot of people who have a small business often have a small family, and they're trying to do everything at once. And we need to learn to pace. And when I give permission to do the 10-year plan with people, they realize, wow, I've got time. I don't have to do everything this month. I can actually pace the business for long-term success.
Yeah, no, I love that, and certainly I've changed my, I guess, the things I do for my health and well-being over the years, from running now to bike riding, and seen plenty of the world as a result. So it's been a good thing for the body and good thing for the mind and the sights I've seen. So understand that.
Yeah.
It's an interesting conversation, though, I have with business owners around health and wellbeing, because a lot of them go, well, I don't have time for that. And like my response is, well, you should not have a choice, because if you can't look after yourself, as you said, it can only impact on yourself, your family, the business. But so it tends to be a bit of a mindset. So have you got any tips to help small business owners just sort of get out of that mindset to focus on themselves first and foremost?
Well, if we think of an athlete, again, which I do with all of my clients and try to put their athlete hat on, it's like being an athlete, but you don't have time, or you say you don't have time for recovery or for stretching or for hydration or for nutrition, but you still want to run as fast as you possibly can every day and do a PB. So it's about getting people to see, I need to respect the foundational fundamentals, and they might be very small, that I set myself up with so I don't burn and I do keep going, because the results are just you lose your business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So really teaching them to think about life as an athlete and how much effort goes into not just the performance, but the recovery, the preparation, and how important that is.
Yeah. And you touched on before a habit plan. So is that, I guess that habit plan is something you incorporate into helping small business owners?
100%, absolutely. And look, I teach it to teams as well. So we'll do a whole workshop on it.
Yep.
But a habit could be something like, I don't touch my phone until I've done the 3 M's every morning, which is make my bed, move my body, mindfully breathe. And then I'll touch my phone, because the minute I touch my phone, I'm in the marathon. So I really need to have a habit of, I need to warm up for the day like Roger Federer. So I will make my bed, I'll walk for an hour or go to gym or whatever. I'll do a bit of mindful breath and then I'm ready for the race of the day. And then things like pacing, we need to stop at the Gatorade stations. Footy players have quarter time, half time, 3/4 time. Tennis players sit down. Like everybody stops at the Gatorade station except humans because they don't have time. So the Gatorade station is the bathroom. It's allowing yourself to maybe take 3 breaths every time you wash your hands and just ground yourself, because you will make a better decision for the business than if you're just racing and not thinking and there's no oxygen in your body. So tiny, tiny habits like that are high performance. I think they're very high performance. We just start very small and we start building.
Yeah, it's a good approach, isn't it? Because you can't change things overnight. So it's just those small introductions and build from there. So Shannah, I love talking about these things, and particularly planning, be it life or business. But just to wrap up, what's at least one thing you could recommend a small business owner does from listening to our chat?
Well, I can't do one, so I'm just going to do a couple quickly. You must have a plan and you must pace. If you don't have a plan and you don't pace, I'm not sure where you're going. And that's frightening when it's your business. So we become a lot more confident, we become a lot more grounded and calm, and we make better decisions when we have a plan and a pace that we've set for ourselves. I think that's really imperative.
And a good place to start would be getting hold of your vision board.
Yes, or get a copy of the life plan, or my new book's out in stores at the moment called Elevate: Life, Leadership and Longevity.
Wow, awesome.
And that book is now going overseas. It's going to the US in June, and that's really asking you about what do you need to stop doing in your life and in your business that no longer serves you. We need to keep shedding our old habits and creating some new ones.
Yeah, good one. That's a good point, because I think particularly in business, a plan and strategy is as much about saying no to stuff as opposed to doing stuff, right? It's the same principle.
Exactly.
Well, I really enjoyed the chat. Some great insights for small business owners to take on board, to start looking after themselves and get that 10-year life plan in place. And look forward to our chat later in the week for discussion around your business and your business journey, which I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Mick, and have a great night.
Yeah, you too, Shannah.
We'd greatly appreciate you taking a couple of minutes to leave our podcast a review on iTunes. If you don't have an account, simply follow us on Spotify. You'll help other small business owners find the cast and valuable content our guests share.